Warning: this program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for all things Warcraft. With your hosts, Berserker and Navox. This is Unshackled Fury.
Summer's heating up, beta's on deck, and we're still recovering from the avalanche of Shadowlands info that just dropped on our collective houses. Welcome to episode 71 of the Unshackled Fury podcast, your uncensored home for all things Warcraft. I'm your host, Berserker. It's hot as hell out here, so you know I've got my Yeti at the ready. And with me, as always, is the Nikki Six to my Mick Mars. He is Navox. Welcome back again, sir.
Woo! Kickstart my heart. Yeah, heck yeah.
With the announcement that we have a Motley Crue named
dungeon.
I
know. It's cool.
you know it's coming.
Yeah.
You know it's coming.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a couple weeks since anyone's heard from us. It's been quite some time, almost 6 weeks, since we've put out a regular episode, and we're going to talk about why here in just a little bit. So, in the intervening time, how has your gameplay been, sir?
You know, I've been having a lot of fun. I've been playing, I've been leveling up a Dark Iron Dwarf warrior. I'm taking after Dez, where I just, you know what? I'm staying in my lane. I was just making sure that I level up tanks, and then I'm like, oh, let me go try out these classes. Let me try out casting classes. I'm like, oh, fuck it. I can't do it. I can't play casting classes. I can't play cloth. I just can't. I don't like not being up close and personal with things in game. I like how warriors play, so I'm taking after Dez, and I'm just focusing on doing all warriors. I'm just doing that.
Stabbing
so I'm leveling up a
and
dark.
so forth.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. I'm just doing a Dark Iron Dwarf, and I finally got to, actually, last night I got to level 80, because I was listening to a lot of the dev interviews, and I'm like, man, I'm so bored. It's level 70, and I went through Burning Crusade, and I got to tell you, the game doesn't really get fun for me till I get to level 70, because that's when all of my favorite transmog comes out. So once I'm able to switch over and transmog into the gear that I like, then the game becomes more fun for me. And then it's just the same old spiky armor, spiky shield, and Thunder Fury at this point. And that's my transmog. And then when I get to when I get to Battle for Azeroth, I switch it over into that sweet ass. I love the Alliance Elite plate set that has the silver and gold, the lions, the big, makes you look like a Gundam model or some type of robot. I don't know. It looks.
Alliance
I
Gundam.
love it. It's so, it's so big and bulky. But other than that, I've been playing a lot of the Shadowlands beta.
Alpha.
Oh, that's it. Yes, Alpha. My bad. Yes, Alpha. So I created a entry-level character and went through the entry-level quest line that they have now, which is actually really cool, because when you start a character, they give you two options. They're like, do you want to start off in your starting area, or do you want to go do the intro quest line where that takes you through how to play your character?
The Exile's Reach opening.
Yes, and it is, I think that experience is what this game has needed for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
It is, because somebody new coming into the game, there's just so much stuff. And as an experienced player, I'm starting to fill out bug reports of, like, for example, when you're playing a warrior, it's like, okay, so use slam on this target. Well, you don't get a spec, so you've got a shield and a sword, and they're like, use slam, so it shows slam on your bar, so you use slam. And then when you get to the next part of the quest chain, it's like, okay, now charge at me. And it's like, charge at you. I'm like, It doesn't show where charge is. And then all of a sudden...
that quest has been bugged for a while, because when I played through that, it was having problems too.
Well, now it opens up your spell book. It shows your mouse dragging up to the charge button. It drags the button. It shows you drag the button down, and then you add it to your bar, and then you're able to charge. And then I went through So I'm like, this is very cool because it takes you through everything you need to know how to play the game. And yes, for experienced players, this is very basic.
You're not going to be doing
if
it.
You're looking... Exactly. From a strictly, hey, I wonder if I can get somebody to play this game now. Absolutely, because they pretty much explain everything how to do it. They even take everybody through a intro dungeon quest line where you're in a group of NPCs and they're all doing, you got your healer, your DPS, and if you're playing a tank, you're the tank. So it's, I think that's just an amazing thing that they did with the game. And then without any spoilerific stuff, I did roll another newer tune. I deleted my tunes that existed out there already, and then I created a new tune at level 50 and did the intro quest stuff, which is just, it's out of this world. It's pretty cool. And I can't wait for everybody to be able to experience that. From start to finish, you will get a level at least out of doing the intro quest series, but it goes into why why you're in the mall, why you're there. It takes you through the storyline. It's a whole intro storyline, so it's, I don't want to, again, no spoiling. We don't, this isn't a spoiler show, but
you go see it for yourself at some point.
Yeah, exactly. And then other than that, I've just been farming Siege of Orgrimmar for those freaking shoulders. And a big shout out to my buddy Guernica. She is on my raid team and she was farming also. So where I have one character that holds a lockout to Gary, and I can run all my characters through on heroic. She runs through on mythic and does it, and then she's like, "Hey, Nav, I'm at Gary. Do you want to come kill the boss with me?" I'm like, "Yes." Yeah. On my plate characters, I'm like, "Hell yeah, let me go do it." And so a huge shout out to Guernica on that one. Thanks, I do appreciate it. But other than that, I haven't been up to a whole lot. I mean, how about you? What have you been up to?
Surviving the apocalypse one day at a time, just like everybody else, I guess.
Wearing a mask, surviving the apocalypse.
That's right. Wear your mask, people, unequivocally.
We are pro-mask here.
We are very pro-mask. Wear your masks. Wear your stupid masks. Don't be stupid. Come on, God, it's just... You're not a tough guy if you don't wear a mask. I'm sorry. Like, you're not. And we have seen a death in our own community with Haster passing away.
Oh, yes.
That is reportedly due to COVID.
Really quick, I just want to say, Haster was a huge part of our community that we were part of initially. I'm just saying that it's sad. It's very sad.
Very.
The podcasting community in general lost somebody who really loved podcasting and somebody who would get behind the small guy and help lift them up and stuff like that. So
yeah, I never knew Haster personally, but it is obvious the influence that Haster had on people that have helped me or been influential around us. And it's a terrible thing that this has happened, number one. And number two, to see these things that happen, they happen close to home, only makes it more real, when you're one person removed or even people that you know.
Yeah.
And so, this is a Warcraft podcast. We're going to go a little sideways today on some things. Just bear with us.
Yeah.
This is a very serious issue, and it affects all of us. And just don't be dumb. Don't be dumb.
Yeah.
And, heart goes out to Haster's friends and family, and I know, we're all going to do our best to spread the word and try to prevent more of that from happening as much as we can. So rest in peace to Haster, and hopefully we can get a NPC of him somewhere, or some kind of a tribute. I don't know if they still do those, but it'd be nice.
Yes, it would be nice.
Remember players like this. So other than that real life stuff, you know what? I have had a bit of a resurgence in my love of Warcraft.
What?
I will be honest. I was trailing away. I needed a break. I don't know. With everything that's going on, I don't know if it's a combination of pandemic nonsense and depression or work or just general bullshit. I mean, who knows? A combination of all these things. But you notice when your love of things that you really love start to the heat meter goes down a little bit. Not here at home though. Everything's fine. Don't worry, folks. But it on the Warcraft scene, it was diminishing some. And I'm going to talk about this here in a little bit. But there have been recent changes in my Warcraft address, and I have felt a resurgence that I haven't felt in a really long time, to the point where Nav, and you've seen it because you carried me through a dungeon run, I am leveling alts.
I know. I was really surprised when I got that message the other day. Hey, you want to help me out with something? I'm like, what? Wait a minute.
What is this paladin?
We've played WoW so rarely together. I was like,
it's true.
Yes, I will stop what I'm doing right now and help you with whatever you want to do. So yes, it's true.
This is very true. But I'm really enjoying it, and I don't know if it's because strictly of the leveling, but it helps because between the buff that we have right now, the 100% XP gain, plus when you have rested time, I mean, you could sleep and just gain levels. I mean, I did a handful of leveling in Stormheim. Like, I'm not even a quarter of the way through it, probably. I've done some Paladin class hauls on the one that I've been focusing on the most, and I'm already at like 106. I haven't done anything, hardly. It is comical how fast you can level right now. And if you can get me excited about it, it's good. And I've only spent maybe a day, not even a full day, just hours in a day working on leveling this character, and that's where I'm at. So it's been awesome. I've got some other tunes that I'm looking at, and I'm like, well, I'm going to clean up my UI and run out there and start doing some Unholy Death Knight stuff. Like, why? I don't know, because it sounds fun now. And
yeah, absolutely.
That has been great. That has been such a nice respite from everything else, and it's the thing that I always go back to about Warcraft, on a fundamental level, why it's so needed for me personally, and I think for a lot of people, it's just an escape. It's supposed to be an escape, to get away, to forget about stuff for a while, and to be something else, to do something else, to be a champion of something, and to be impervious to so much, and it's needed. And I've been enjoying it, and it's been great. So that's really been what's taken up a lot of my Warcraft energy as of late in game. But we got a lot to talk about today. Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
We have a chunky rage portion here. They'll take a little bit of time to get through, and then we have just a deluge of Shadowlands info to pile through. And what we're going to touch on today is only a fraction of all of the stuff that came out this week. I mean, there were so many interviews and post-interviews and blue posts, and I mean, it was everywhere. It was everywhere. So we're going to do our best to talk about what we picked up on were some of the highlights, specifically Covenants. We're going to talk a lot about Covenants today and what those are, why those are important, and some thoughts about those. But first, Nav, we're going to jump into our rage portion, and we're going to have a little real talk. So why don't we jump into that? Let's rage. So the last episode that you and I put out, like the last proper episode, was back at the end of May. It's been that long. We're now near middle of July. We usually, I think, take a break during the summertime or when things are slow, just because there's vacations going on, there's stuff that's happening. I know I had a pretty good vacation plan that was supposed to happen in about 10 days, but that is not happening as nobody's is right now, or should be, right? If we're trying to survive. So we haven't taken a break for any reason like that. The reason that we have been taking a break is because of what you may have seen on our Twitter. I posted this back on June the 8th, our show account, where we talked about how right now, as this is still going on, this isn't over. but there are very serious discussions that are happening right now in our country, the United States, around the world, about equality, about discrimination of a historical variety, about inequality in all kinds of ways. And you've seen marches and demonstrations and protests all around, a lot of it coming out of the wake of the Floyd murder up in Minneapolis. George Floyd murdered by cops. I'm not going to equivocate on this. That is exactly what happened. That has spawned, somewhat of a revolution. And I felt, and we felt, that it was important for our show to take a step back and allow those conversations to be out there in the space that they needed to have. We did put out a post asking people, as we did, to donate to causes to help further these efforts. For us, it was the ACLU and bailproject.org, because we believe that these are entities that are helping further the goals of equality and justice that we need to see in our world, frankly. So we took that time off because we didn't feel it was appropriate for us to take up air while these conversations were in their most intense form. Blizzard, to their credit, did the same, and they donated some money as well. But we're back, and that doesn't mean that these conversations are done. That doesn't mean that they're any less important. That doesn't mean that we forget. Nav and I are point blank very strong supporters of Black Lives Matter. I don't think that that is something that should be denigrated. I hear people, what about all lives? You know what? Yes, it's true. Everybody's life matters. But here's the thing. And this is an example that I've seen a lot, and I hope that anybody that is asking these questions thinks about this the way that I'm going to put it forward, is that everybody's house is important, but the one that's on fire is the one that needs the attention, right? And in our society, it is inescapable that if you are black, you are historically disadvantaged. And there's just no way around it. Look at the incarceration rates alone. It's staggering when you look at the proportions. And so if you say all lives matter, I think for a lot of people, because I get this in my own family, is you're trying to say, we should all be together. We're all one team. We're all one country and the whole thing. And it's a nice thought to have, but it doesn't reflect the reality of where we are, which is that more of our friends and family need help than others. Right now, Black lives are in a greater state of danger in the United States and elsewhere, and that needs attention, and that needs help, and that's where we are, and it's a very serious issue. I commend Ian Hazzikostas for closing out the recent live stream by addressing this as well, and I think that that is important. So if you're listening to the show and you're like, I can't believe these guys are saying this, don't listen. That's fine. You can go listen to another show that won't talk about this, that will hide their head in the sand and just pretend like everything's fine. But this is Unshackled Fury. This is the kind of stuff we do. We talk about whatever it is that we need to talk about, and this is the time that we need to talk about this. And now I think for us it's important that you and I, two white dudes with a platform, we say something.
Yep. Absolutely.
Certainly in California, here, a lot of movement, man. A lot going on. I don't live too far from the state capitol, and there's certainly a lot of activity, and it's good to see. I do appreciate people going out there, risking a lot to make their voices heard, and that's part of, I think, what makes this such a great place to live in many respects, is that you have the freedom of speech. So before I move off of that, anything that you'd like to add, Mr. Navox?
No, you summarized it all perfectly. I can't add anything onto that. Black Lives Matter. Everybody's, it sucks that everybody has to deal with the where it hits too close to home, where you even said it, where people are like, "Oh yeah, all lives matter." You're missing the whole point. You're missing it all. You're missing the whole point there. And yeah,
it's a tough conversation.
It is. It's a very tough conversation.
And this isn't necessarily the place to have an extended dialogue, but we're putting our markers in the sand, so to speak, about where we stand as individuals and for our show. And so if there's ever been any question about where we are, there you go.
Yep. There you go.
And that won't change. So if you want to at us, or you want to argue, or you want to say whatever, you're going to be screaming into the wind. And that's what I can say about that part of it. Extending from that, I want to beg a little indulgence for I guess what I'll call a point of personal privilege in following up on the subject to which we last put out a recording on this channel. As listeners of this show may recall, or people that are in the community may know, there was a situation that was brought up with relation to the Convert to Raid Guild, which at the time both of us were members of. You were a member of the leadership of that group. And a situation had been brought forth regarding a community member who had accused another community member of being essentially a predator. And in the course of events of handling all of that, Nav, your name was brought up in a post by another community member about how this was handled, and we talked about it here on the show, and we addressed it. So if folks have missed that, I encourage you to go back and listen to everything that went on to catch you up to speed. Bringing it forward, I want to say again that Nav, I am very, very proud of you for how you came forward, how you handled that situation, and how you were extraordinarily transparent in your part of what went on. I think it's very important that when situations go sideways, that you're responsible for it and that you take ownership of things. And in this situation, it was something that became very public. It morphed from, here's a situation where we have a predatory community member, to here's a situation where the community in leadership didn't really handle that news appropriately, to then, what now have I learned about the people who run the guild that I'm in? And that for me ultimately became a real sticking point where, Nav, you were as transparent could be in reading your statement on air about coming to terms even privately with me about the whole conversations that occurred regarding the accusations and the questions and what should or shouldn't have happened. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same about the leadership that remains in that guild. Because on one hand, apologizing and promising growth, that's a good thing, and that's great, and that's good to see. But part of that also comes with contrition. If you're truly willing to learn and you're really sorry about what happened, you will be transparent about what happened. And I don't believe that occurred. Furthermore, it was brought to my attention that after some people had left and fallout from all of these activities that happened, that comments were being made about people who'd left that, they weren't the real community, stuff like that. And to me, that crosses a line that I can no longer abide by. And I have left the Convert to Raid Guild. My team, my raid team, has left the Convert to Raid Guild. The Salad Senate, who's been part of Convert to Raid since basically the beginning, bailed out. And there are folks that don't agree with that decision. I understand. But it's hard to continue to be in an environment when you feel like your leadership is tone deaf and won't break out of their own ecosphere to focus on the community instead of the brand. And I think that is an important distinction that has yet to be made. And it's unfortunate, because I will tell you, some of the best times I have ever had in my life, I'm not even talking about just like Warcraft, just in my life, are going to BlizzCons, being with people that I have met through the Convert to Raid community, and just having a fucking blast. Sal and Belschnickel, meeting you, going on the Converted, standing up on tables in the Anaheim Hilton and screaming Kinsman and for the Alliance and going nuts and all that stuff, man. All of that comes out of there, and it was really important. But following the events, just the whole train of events that happened, I've left, and my team has left. And, I don't wish any ill will upon anyone, but I know that there are people from that guild who listen to this show, who follow us from that acquaintance, and everybody's got to go their own way, and there are people that think, you're just trash talking Pat or the other leadership or whoever. I disagree with their decisions. That doesn't mean I think they're terrible people, but that's how it stands. And I felt it was important to come on here to, again, in the face of transparency. This is why I've done what I've done. And so people that know me, who listen to the show, you have a better understanding of what went on. If you have more questions, if you know me, you want to reach out, feel free. But I feel like for us, we needed to create our own environment where our members were the focus, and where we didn't have the same kind of mentality where we are. So I wish everybody in the Convert to Raid Guild good luck, and I'm sure that people like our friend Sal are going to exert their influence to make it an amazing place to be, and I hope that they can recapture all the fun and glory that we all enjoyed when this first fired up. And I hope for everyone out there listening that you have your own home on Azeroth that you find fun and fulfilling with all your friends, and that's, I think, as good as anybody can get nowadays in our little world. So I appreciate everyone's indulgence on that point. I just felt it was important to say that. And as far as any of that goes, before we close this book, Nav, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I'm just going to say flat out, I'm still a member of the guild, because my raid team is still a member of that guild, and my friends are, I still group with those people. Mm-hmm. They're my friends, and I've met a lot of people in the guild, had a lot of great times, started doing podcasts because of the guild, and I'm like I said, I'm still a member there. And it was sad to see the Salad Senate break off and go their own way. I'm happy that you guys have, found, you guys have gone your way, but it was sad. It was because Copperbolt was one of the first people I interacted with in the guild, and I remember all the fun times of, hey, Wednesday night, it would be Sal and Copper. Hey, join up. We're just going to do a big CTR takes over LFR. And we'd go and do that. Yeah. And it would be like Sal would just scream hero, and then we would just blow through stuff. And it was fun. It was a fun environment. Yeah. And then I would group up. I helped you guys at one point. I was able to tag along with you guys on one of the Siege Gary kills in Siege of Orgrimmar, and I had a blast doing that. So when I don't know, it's hard to put in a word. It's sad when you have one of the main cornerstone raid teams of the group break off. And I understand why. That's it. It's sad, and that was a big deal. And whether or not people want to see it that way, that was a big deal. So,
and for the team, the team has, everyone on the team who left has their own reasons. Right, and I can't speak for them. I can only speak for myself. So I want to make that clear. I'm not speaking for the team. I'm speaking for myself. However, you can look into that however you want.
I saw it worded best, and I saw it on Twitter today or yesterday or somebody. Somebody goes, people bitch about WoW or Warcraft in general. They have a lot to complain about. They have, the game sucks, this, that, and the other. But the main reason you're logging in to play that game is because you're hanging out with your friends. That is the main, honest to God, you log in and you are there to hang out with your friends that you meet
Should.
in the game. And that is why I log in. And that's why, I get excited when I get messages from people, hey, you want to come help out? Yes, I want to come help out. I'm your friend. I like doing that,
You were there in a flash. It was amazing.
But I'm just saying in general, you log in. Like, I have, like I said, my raid group's my friends, and we do stuff off. They have the raid times, and then the off raid times. We're always like, hey, you want to go run dungeons? Hey, you want to go level alts? Hey, you want to go do transmog stuff? It's who you hang out with in game. You make your tribe, you live with your tribe, and you're going with,
And it makes a big
people,
difference. And like I said earlier, I've had this resurgence, and that's why. Because
exactly. Yep.
While sad, I will tell you is that I have felt better than I have in a long time, and seeing old friends coming back and faces and names I haven't seen in a long time showing up, and I didn't realize how meaningful that would be until it happened, and here we are. And just speaking frankly about it, Convert to Raid is a really unique beast in that it's this mega huge guild. It follows from a very well-known podcast, and I think that there's a certain amount of cult of personality that just goes with something like that, where you want to be a part of something special and something big and something that people know. I mean, there's a reason why the Kardashians have 1 billion followers on all their social media stuff, right? I mean, it's not necessarily because they're the greatest people who ever lived. It's because people love that amount to some degree of notoriety. And I get that. I totally understand. And it is a unique thing, and I think that people sometimes can fall into that without really realizing either what they may be missing or ignoring or leaving behind. And that, for me, just isn't a good fit. And for some people, it will continue to be, and I wish them all the best. But for me, for people who know me, who've seen some stuff out there, maybe on Twitter or wherever, just wanted to clear the air. I think it's important in a time when I've said that, silence is approval. Well, you've heard it here. I think that there are things there that could be done better, and we're going to try to do that ourselves somewhere else. So, wish everybody luck. Good luck. Happy trails. May all your loot be legendary. All that jazz. So,
and it will be, according to Ian, at some point.
There you go. So, on that note, we have a ton of news to jump into. So, why don't we go and jump into that and talk about our developer live stream, post-stream interviews, all the cool changes that are coming here in Shadowlands. So, let's go. So, last month, we were scheduled to have a Shadowlands developer live stream in light of everything that we talked about at the top of this show. They took a break and postponed the event, as they should have. Well, we just had our Shadowlands developer live stream this past week on July the 8th, and it was the start of what would become over the next couple of days a ridiculous amount of information just flowing like a fire hose out into our faces. It was a lot.
Yep.
We're going to do our best on here to cover the things that we think are kind of some highlights. But honestly, you're going to have to go for yourself and look at all the interviews to see just everything that came out. Because, man, they touched on a lot of different stuff because, everybody that interviews has got their own little niche, their thing that they want to know about. So you had a lot of different subjects being touched on out there. But for us, let's first run through the live stream. I know for me, coming right out of the gate, I was looking for a release date. I'm like, all right, release date. Come on, guys. Start dialing it in. What's going on? And no.
Nothing.
No release date. All that they have told us, John Haidt, he opened up the show and said that they're working hard. We know that. And that they essentially, I don't know if promised is too strong of a word, but seemed to indicate that fall is the time. So,
man, I was so hoping. I was so hoping that, alpha and beta were going to go so well, and that they were just going to be like, so surprise end of August.
Yeah.
So you guys can just have it and then just go.
Yeah.
But nope. You know, I was holding out for August. I was just
not with everything else that's going on. I don't think that.
Yeah.
But you know, technically fall is between I think September 21st-ish, 22nd and December 21st, 22nd-ish. So that's your window of technically fall. So I mean, it could be a little bit before Christmas, but I don't think they're gonna drop this the week before Christmas because that just seems cruel. So if it's technically fall, what do you think? First week of December?
man.
Because here's the thing, not only, and I don't know if they care. I thought November might line up pretty good for them, but you have Cyberpunk, which is going to be massive, so big, coming out November. And then you're also now going to have Assassin's Creed Valhalla coming out in November. Like,
God,
do you really want to compete with all of that face to face? I mean, it's not that they can't, but do you want to?
I mean, the WoW diehards are going to just be like, I don't care about those other games. However, even some of the WoW diehards, like myself, sitting here going, I can't wait for Cyberpunk to come out. And I just saw, I watched the Ubisoft Twitch stream they had today of Valhalla, and I'm just like, I cannot wait to play this game. I loved Odyssey. I cannot wait to play this game. Mm-hmm. This looks amazing, but Cyberpunk, I'm all about Cyberpunk. Yep. It's like a game that was made for me. Like that's like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, we're probably going to end up having to morph this podcast into like a one day only Cyberpunk show.
If we don't get to talk about Cyberpunk, I'm going to be highly disappointed.
We should just warn any of the 5 listeners. Sorry to you folks, but this will become a Cyberpunk podcast, probably at least one time. Because it's no joke. We are super hyped about it. If we're hyped about it, other people are hyped about it. And that, I think, is a legitimate concern when you're talking about releasing a competing game. It's like in Hollywood. They will move a movie to another fucking year to get away from a big release because they know that the dollars are only going to go to so many places. And think about it. Right now, you have high unemployment. You have people that are staying home, but resources are getting stretched. And if you're going to pay for one game, are you going to pay for, and as much as we love Warcraft around here, this is like the 8th expansion, Cyberpunk you've never had. And that is going to be one hell of an experience if it's everything that I've seen and we've seen so far. So I don't know if November is now their time. I really don't. I don't know if maybe it's the first week in November. Maybe it's the very end of October. It's the what would have been.
If they did it in October, it would coincide with the season where you'd feel like, because I mean, without giving too much, it doesn't. We're not giving too much away. You're dealing with death and things like that, and so it would coincide with the whole Halloween spooky feel while you're questing. I don't know.
Yeah, good point.
So right. I mean, I have my Halloween traditions because it's my I love that time of year, and
this is Halloween. This is Halloween. Halloween.
I absolutely love it. So
that that might be good. End of October. So we got that bit of news.
Yep.
But then, even more importantly, at least for me, we finally got our first look at the physical collector's edition. And it is glorious looking. Like they went all out on this one, because if you look at the box, it's like one of those old school, like I remember back in the 90s we had those X-Men trading cards, and they had some of them that were like super cool and had like the foil cards.
Yeah.
It's what the back and the front of this box look like. It's the shattered sky above Ice Crown. And it's this,
which looks amazing.
That looks so freaking
good. Yeah.
But yeah, they're doing the physical CE. They got an art book. They got, I don't care about the pin set, but the art book and the all the hoopla and all the bullshit. So it was finally announced during the stream. I got an email from Blizzard saying, "Hey, it's available for pre-order." I immediately went on and pre-ordered it, and I heard that it was near immediately sold out. So I'm glad I got in, and we didn't have to give Filthy Dirty GameStop any of our money. Because I went straight through the Blizzard
screwed
store.
up my last order.
Yeah. Well,
But I know we have some GameStop fans listening, so I don't want to.
they understand. If they've listened to this show, they understand. You have your
okay.
reasons. Mine was fine. You have your reasons. So, so they touched on that. They showed it real quick, and I was pretty happy to see that. So I do have my order in for that. A piece of news following that, Torghast, our favorite new toy in Shadowlands, Torghast, was announced to essentially have unlimited runs.
Yay!
And this was something that was a hotly debated item amongst alpha testers, non-alpha testers, everyone. Was, are they going to gate entrance into Torghast? Is it a daily thing, a weekly thing? Do you have to unlock it? Do you have to do a key of some kind? Do you have to have a currency of some kind? At least for now, it sounds like all of that has been taken away, and you can just run it to your heart's desire, which I think is great. I'm not sure how they're going to moderate that in terms of loot. I'm sure, they're smart folks. They'll figure it out. But that's essentially how it's going to have to be done, is diminishing returns, or else you'll get people like poor Dez who are going to, run the things 64 hours in a row. To get every piece of thing. You can't encourage that kind of behavior. I love you, Des, but you can't be doing that all the time. So that was pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. Now, Nav, you and I have gotten a chance to play this a bunch. We got in the club, not behind the velvet rope, mind you, but we're in the club.
Yes,
right. We're drinking the Amstel Light still. But now everybody gets to join us at the Amstel table because beta is going live this week.
Yep. And I can't wait for everybody to get in there.
I can't either.
Because it's not only beta, I think it's beta and character copy. So I think they're going to allow character copy over so we can test to see what our tunes feel like. So that'll be very exciting.
Yes. Yeah, I actually turn into the worst beta tester at this point because I like being at the front of the line and being like, ooh, alpha, I want to feel special. Give me the alpha access because then I can brag about it. But then when the beta opens up, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to see too many spoilers.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
I understand. At this point, so much of the story is open that I'm like, I kind of have to save some for the real thing, or else I'm gonna be bored when I go through. Because I always tell, this is my cautionary tale, Cataclysm. All right, back in the Cataclysm days, first beta I ever got into.
All right,
and I played the shit out of that thing. I was everywhere. I saw Mount Hyjal in like 19 different versions, and I was like, wow, this is amazing every single time. By the time it came for me to actually level through it, I was bored to tears. I was like, I have done this too many times. I have seen this. I remember what this looked like when it didn't have any plants on it. I don't care now.
Well,
bleh. So
I'm doing it right now, and I'm still bored of it. I mean, that's how bad Cataclysm was for me. Like I'm just like, I thought I would outgrow it, and I haven't outgrown it yet. I'm still doing it.
I can't wait till they show the breakdown of how many people level through each expansion, starting in Shadowlands. Like 48% of people went through Lich King, 3% of people went through Cata.
Well, that's it. Like I just finished. Once you hit level 80, it pops up 2 quests, and they're like, so do you want to go level in Cata or do you want to go level in Mop?
Yeah.
So it's like I picked Cata this time because I always go Mop. When I log in tonight, I'm just gonna swap it back over and go back over to Mop because Mists is
so much.
Mist
better.
is amazing. Yeah. I love Mists of Pandaria.
It's such a palate cleanser, really.
Yes, it really is. It really is.
It's so great.
Except for the bug area. I hate bugs, but everybody knows I hate bugs.
Well,
anyway, but yes.
Yeah. So
Torghast Unlimited.
You guys are gonna dig it. It's gonna be so much fun. You're gonna be playing around with all of the crazy abilities and seeing this thing firsthand, and get in there and test it and test it and test it and test it, because these dudes are looking for feedback. The more you give them, the faster we get through beta, the faster we get through release. If they're true to their word, They're saying that the release date doesn't get nailed down until they get more into beta and they understand how broken it is or is not. So the more you get in there, the more that you help out, the quicker we're going to get this thing. So get your butts in there.
I hope that when you record, and this is like off topic, but when you're doing a feedback request in game, I wonder if it takes your character data where you're standing at that point in time, because I ran into a lot of invisible walls that I hope they want to know about, because I'll run to something and all of a sudden you're like, why am I hitting an invisible wall just trying to get to this cage that I need to click on?
They actually mentioned this, something akin to this, in the live stream where they were talking about how their, what do they call them? It's like their landscape art folks are watching people play like live and then making changes based on what they see people like not being able to get around or do certain things, and then in the next build they'll have whatever that fix is of the thing they just saw live, which because that blew my mind.
I'm missing my coordinates. Like, I don't have anything that my add-ons that can do coordinates. I wish they would just make coordinates a thing in game. So
come on, Nav.
I'm okay with that. You can break my immersion. I'm okay with that.
Use your superior navigation skills. Your name is Nav.
I know, but it's okay. I'm okay with my coordinates. I like numbers. So, all right. Anyway,
well, one other piece of news that certainly got both of our attention was the fact that there's going to be a dungeon called Theater of Pain.
Yes.
Which, for those of you who don't know, Theater of Pain is a 1985 album by the band Motley Crue, a sort of hard rock band from the 80s, hair metal, whatever you want to call them. A couple good songs from that one. Smoking in the Boys' Room, which was actually a cover. And Home Sweet Home, which, it's a tender side of those gentlemen. But great album, and super pumped about it. Ian said that it was going to be a very metal dungeon, which I'm excited by. And it's non-linear, where you're going to be able to make choices about where you go. Apparently this is inspired by the Hunger Games, where there's going to be competing teams, and there's kind of this, battle arena vibe going on. Again, new iterations, trying new things. That's so exciting. Plus,
yes,
it's got a great theme, Theater of Pain. So I fully expect Ian or Lore to be wearing Theater of Pain t-shirts at a future live stream, and I've tweeted at them. I've gotten no response, so I'm sure they're definitely going to do it.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yep.
Last thing from the live stream I want to touch on are the legendaries that we're soon going to be getting to know. So you and I were talking before we even started recording and trying to figure out, is it rune crafting? Is it rune carving? Like, what exactly is it that we're doing when it comes to these legendaries? And there were some interviews. I think there was also a blue post about this somewhere. So again, trying to kind of mix and match different pieces from different places to figure out what we're doing. As far as I understand, and people correct me if I'm wrong, I think rune crafting is the name of the whole system, but within the system, you have like a rune smith, who apparently is the guy that you meet in Torghast, who may or may not have made the Helm of Domination in Frostmourne. And you will be rune carving, which is taking an item made by a profession like a blacksmith and then doing stuff to it.
Yeah.
What's your understanding of how this new legendary system is going to work?
So I still think I thought the whole thing is rune carving, but it is for the legendary, and you have you're going to have a base item. And it's either going to be created by your blacksmiths, your leather workers, your tailors, or jewel crafters. So if you don't have one of those, you might want to consider making one of those.
You got time.
You got plenty of time. And then the items that the blacksmiths and the leather workers and the tailors and the jewel they can make, they're not soul bound, which is good. So you can profit off of this in the auction house, help your friends out, all this kind of stuff. But what this will do is it'll allow you to target your whatever legendaries you want to go after, whatever's available in the game. Like if it's a weapon, you'll have the blacksmiths make a hilt, I'm sure, something of that nature. and then maybe you'd have to go to a leatherworker, get something else, and then you'll go to the rune carver or the rune carving crafting station or whatever, and you'll pick out your legendary power, and then you'll get the other reagents, and then you go to the rune carver's chamber and you empower it, similar to like Death Knights with their rune forging. Isn't that
Yep.
literally what it is? It's
Yep.
rune forging.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's it'll be like that, which I'm excited about because I like being able to target my items. I didn't like the RNG of Legion. I was not one of the fortunate ones that, oh, we're in week 2 of this, and oh my god, another legendary drop for somebody in guild chat. I can't believe it. And then they post on for hours about, I just can't believe how lucky I am. It's like, fuck you. Like, I don't have one. It's like,
I got my best in slot for the next 2 years, and you're going to keep on grinding, you fucker. Good luck. No, you're right. And I think that comes from feedback that's been quite loud and vocal about RNG versus targeted loot. And being able to craft a legendary, which I'm a big fan of the crafting the legendary. As somebody, way late after the fact, but still did the Shadowmourne questline, I dug it.
Yeah.
Grinding and you're building something and putting something together. It's this, mythical thing. I dig that. I have no problem with that. And targeting it, cool. I think that puts a lot of pressure on people to, be raid ready or, one of those things where it's like, here's the specific thing you have to have and here's all the stuff you got to do and you better do your runs and make this thing happen and craft all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. And that will get out of hand. But I guess at least now you're not just randomly running stuff 5,000 times to get the legendary you need. You can just get hammered on the one.
Yeah, I think, exactly. I think, and that was one of the things I got out of the interview if we jump back to the Torghast thing. Ian's like, listen, you can run it as much as you want. It's not going to be somebody who runs it more is not going to have some advantage over somebody who just runs it once or twice for their thing. Like right now, think of it like when you go do a one of the vessel, the horrific visions, where you're like, I'm just going in there for my core and that's it. Mm-hmm. And then you could run it again and help somebody else get their core if you want to, but you don't.
Maybe get a couple pets and
exactly.
some other stuff.
Exactly. So you'll end up getting cosmetic stuff and things like that. But anyway, jumping forward to the legendary stuff, I'm excited about this because I really hope that at some point they will let us upgrade some of the legendary. I am holding on to hope that they will make the legendary items that we have currently that we worked on feasible again. No. I would love it if they would make some of this stuff usable again, like Thunder Fury. Yes, I said Thunder Fury. But yeah, anyway.
A man can dream.
Yeah, exactly. I'm holding out hope on that one.
Well, to that effect, something that they are doing.
Yes.
Here's a question for you. They've talked about how for legendaries, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be bringing back old set bonuses or old legendary procs forward. Because the idea being is that this runesmith that you find has the ability to tap into all this stuff. Yep. So, thinking back all your years of raiding and everything else you've done, are there any particular set bonuses or legendary procs that you would like to see again?
Yes, I just mentioned it a second ago, and I'm going to keep going back to this Thunder Fury.
They've already said the Thunder Fury one won't be available because it's too unique.
Because it jumped. That lightning bolt jumped from target to target to target. It was amazing. I loved it. But, so I loved anything that would return rage. Or, so as a warrior, as arms or fury or hell, even prop, you're doing your abilities, and if you fuck up your rotation, you're spending your rage and you don't get it back. Yep. So if there is a method to run these abilities. You don't have to Street Fighter button mash them. You wait for certain procs to happen, this, that, and the other. But if you had these set bonuses, it would on have like a 20% chance to return rage or you know, make you cast an avatar or something like that. And you know, those types of things I really enjoy. Like I do enjoy the ones that happen more frequently on it.
Yeah.
Not to get a little too ridiculous, not to make it ridiculous where you have an I win button, but you know,
half a win.
Yeah.
Half a win.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But yeah, things like that I like.
Yeah, I think keeping in theme with everything that's going on, and for folks that didn't get it, they may not remember or know sort of what the Shadowmourne proc was. And I
still don't know what it is.
I think it would fit in really well with what we're doing, which is essentially that you are reaping souls as you're killing mobs. And
is that what happens with that thing?
And you're building this sort of power, and I'd have to look it up to see exactly what it is. And then you get this buff, you just blow shit up.
Oh, because while I'm running around with these, because on my dwarf I use the Shadowmourne as my transmog, and all of a sudden it'll have this like white spell effect on it, like you're off gassing or something like that. It's weird, and I didn't know if that's part of the proc, like what you just said. Like I have no idea. I just know that it's an axe that's got a skull on it with horns, and it looks really cool. And I'm like, this looks cool on my dwarf. And
so here's what it did was your melee attacks have a chance to drain a soul fragment, granting you 4 strength. I mean, the numbers don't matter, but granting you a certain amount of strength. When you have acquired 10 soul fragments, you will unleash Chaos Bane, dealing shadow damage between all enemies within 15 yards, and then granting you a strength buff for 10 seconds. It would. So one, it was cool because it just, you know, helped you just blow away dudes. But the effect on it was super cool because there's like this like souls circling around you, and you knew it wasn't good. You knew you shouldn't have been doing it, but it just looked rad, and it was so in keeping with the theme of everything that was going on. And so for me, like, that makes perfect sense for what we're doing now. And I would not mind getting that back. Or something like, I think it was Deathbringer's Will was that trinket that we used to have. You know, it wasn't a legendary thing, but it was a trinket that you could get in ICC, and it would like turn you into a Vrykul or something else, and you'd get this huge buff. You know, stuff like that. That's the stuff I like. So I'd be super happy to see that. But lots of information out there coming about the legendaries and about all of this stuff. Quite frankly, there's just too much even that's known right now for us to even cover. So continue to go out there. And
there were a lot of interviews this past, like after the live stream event, it's just like they vomited. We got hit with so many interviews that week. It was actually nice that we got a nice.
It was a huge info dump.
Yeah, it was a huge info dump.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there were, by my count, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 streams that were done with a few of the game designers. I think John Haidt was on one. Ian was on a few. I think there were a few other folks out there. So many points to touch on, like we just mentioned. But for you, Nav, other than what we've talked about so far, what are some of the other major highlights that popped up for you from this gaggle of interviews that happened after the live stream?
Like I said, it's no secret that I'm a fan of the transmog system. So the class-wide artifact transmog thing in Shadowlands kind of has me excited because
it'd be huge.
One, like, you can take the cool-looking mace stuff that you have as prot, and then if you're Fury and you're single-minded Fury, you could transmog those cool-looking things onto your Fury Warrior if you want, or even you can take the arms artifact and use it as Fury, or, you know, I'm excited about that. I'm excited that the developers are looking more into the transmog system because you have your character, but then you also have in your mind what you think your character would look like. And mine, for example, I would love to be able to transmog very much like how Logash was drawn, or how Garrosh, you know, or, you know, how he is. Like, I just like a Conan looking barbarian type. That's what I want. That's all I want in the game, is to be able to do that at some point. And hopefully with the transmog system, we can get some of that. The other thing, and we will touch base on this, is that that they're finally recognizing that they're finally recognizing that the city guards are in need of a change, and we're going to get more diversity of the appearances of the guards. And I'm speaking strictly from Stormwind. You'll go through Stormwind, and you're going to have a more diverse set of guards going into Shadowlands. So that's another thing that I'm looking forward to. And I think we're going to also touch base on this later on. They're going to let us switch our appearance at the barbershop, which is huge. So
kind of going back to what we talked about at the top of the show, and then looking at some of the continued changes that they're making. They have announced that they are going to be updating guards to be more reflective of a multicultural society. So it's not just going to be a bunch of white dudes rolling around, which you see the stories from people who talk about how, they love Warcraft, they played Warcraft all these years, yada, yada. But then to actually be able to see yourself in the game and how powerful that is, like that, I take that for granted.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of us do that. You just pop on and like, oh, I can make this look like me, and it's not an issue, where that's never
Other
been an
people
option.
don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
For so many folks. Yep. And it's a welcome change. Along with being able to, as you mentioned, you will be able to swap your gender in Shadowlands just by going to a barbershop, which, again, I think that's a great idea. Anything that you can do to knock down a barrier to being able to have a player who represents you.
Exactly.
I do wonder if at some point we may get gender neutral as an option, or some other things, because I know we've seen that like in Cyberpunk, for instance, where you don't have to pick a gender potentially for your characters. So that may be something. I don't know how that works with the art. There is a technical aspect to that. But that may be something that they look forward to in the future. There is also, as has been discussed, a transgender character who is going to be featured in Shadowlands.
Should we say, because I already know that story. Should we say who it is? Or, because I can't believe people, is this something you want to talk about now, or should we talk about it later on in a different show? Or, huh?
Hit it. No, go.
All right, yeah. So, no. The transgender aspirant you're referring to is Pelagos, who was presented as a woman in his mortal life and chose to be a man in Shadowlands.
Yeah.
That's huge, and I cannot believe people are losing their minds over it. Like there was a post made about this, and I can believe that people can't evolve in their thought process, that I can't have a trans person in game. However, I can believe that the flying spaghetti monster sitting out there mind controlling everybody, that I can wrap my fucking brain around. It's like, come on, people. This game's supposed to be inclusive for everybody. And like you said, it is breaking. The devs are breaking down these barriers that have been put in place. They are changing the game. It's a sign of the times, and you are, it's everything. All these changes are good. These are all good, positive changes. And there's going to be even more. And, it's wait till next week, folks. More to come, It's like when that,
you're always trying to grow your house when it comes to
exactly.
Especially in an MMO community. You're always looking to expand the people that you're bringing in to enjoy the game, and representation is a huge deal. I have no idea what it's like to play a game and not feel represented. I don't know. Every game I've ever played,
you're right.
I've been able to jump in and be like, Link, that's a white guy. Mega
I
Man,
associate
that's a white
with this
guy.
person. Sam Fisher, I can associate with this guy. Alexios from Assassin's Creed, Geralt from Witcher. all great games, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
We don't.
I have no idea.
Exactly.
And
so
it's a powerful thing from everything that I've ever seen. And this episode for us more than any other has probably been the most political, I guess. But listen, I call it what you want, call it where I live or my life's experiences or whatever, but I have seen the power that comes into play when people can be who they are and when they can feel like they can be comfortable with who they are in the places that they live. I mean, it's such a powerful thing. Like I can't ever know it, and I'm grateful that I've been able to have the experiences that I've been able to have, and the fact that it's like I remember when Black Panther came out, and people were losing their shit, and they're like, "Is this what it feels like to have your own guy?" And it's like, yeah, it's amazing, and people just finally being able to have that for themselves. It's so fundamental. And now to see our beloved game taking these steps, and listen, sometimes they take longer than others, and there's a whole other conversation to be had about that for sure. But we're seeing these incremental changes, and it's so important, and it's good because you take one, you take the next. And I think that when Shadowlands comes out, what would be really good, and I have a feeling they'll do this, I hope they do, is that you'll be able to change everything about your character, like one time, like at least one time.
Yeah.
Because now you'll have the opportunity to actually make a character that represents you. And you can take this character that, if you're like me, I've had the same main tune for all these years, and now you may have the opportunity to say, you know what, I want them to look more like me, or more like how I feel I want to look. And to give the players an opportunity to do that right out of the chute and say, you know what, we're not going to charge you anything. We're going to waive the fees, or we're going to do it. Look however you want to look. Do whatever you want to do. Go, enjoy, have fun, be you. Like that.
Yep.
That would be a great thing, and I hope that they can pull that off.
And they're adding and not only are they doing that to the barbershop, all of the options that people are going to see in Shadowlands are like, my God, like you can get very amazing. Detailed with your character now, and they're not going to say whether or not, if you're role playing and you're like, I want to be a Wildhammer dwarf, you can do that now, and you don't have to go out there and select Blizzard, make a Wildhammer. Nope, you can you're just a dwarf, and then you make your character the way you want it to look. The trolls have the same thing. Like, there's a different. I don't know a lot of the Horde lore, so I can't go into detail there, but I know that there are different variants of trolls and the troll races, and so you can role play how you want to role play, how you want to look, and how you feel comfortable representing yourself, and how you can associate with that avatar in game, because I know I do. I associate with Nav in game and big time. Like when I log in and I'm like, yep, that's me. That's who I represent. That's who I am. And a lot of people don't have that, and they're going to finally have that. So I'm very, very happy and pleased about that.
The customization options that we've seen so far have been ridiculous, and apparently they're still growing. Yeah. And they're, it sounds like they're doing it partly on feedback. So again, if you get in the beta, jump in, make comments, say, hey, I would like to see this, and tweet it at people and tag them and put it in the forums and go nuts, because they are listening, they're paying attention. So do your thing. But yeah, that is such a welcome piece of news to come out, and I think we're all pretty happy about that. On another side of things, what's been coming out of these interviews is we're also getting little bits of lore that are coming out.
Yes, I'm glad we're going to talk. Yes, okay.
And yes. We all have our hopes for what Shadowlands is going to be, for who we might see, for what's going to happen. Some stuff is trickling out through data mining. I'm avoiding all that right now. I'm only going off of what is being said in these interviews that we're talking about. The first thing that caught my attention, and I think a lot of us are looking for these, and hopefully we'll see one soon. There has yet to be any sort of cinematic animated show or animated series, or like we've done the Warbringers shorts. They've had various types of and warlords. They had all of the different warlords had a little video about them, and more recently in BFA we had all the stuff with Jaina and the Windrunner sisters and all that stuff going on. We haven't seen that yet, or the fully realized cinematics that we saw with folks in Battle for Azeroth, particularly with Varrock Sourfang. We haven't seen those yet, but there seems to be an indication that there may be some of that stuff coming. And I'd be shocked if they didn't have something coming down the pike on those, because one, they're insanely popular, and two, this expansion in particular is going to be so lore heavy, like so deeply lore heavy that you can't not have it. It's not possible. It's just you have to know more, I think, about Warcraft than at any other point going into this story, because of who we're going to see and what's going on and all of that stuff. Like, if you just watch the cinematic, like, who's that guy with the big hammer climbing down off of that ice shelf? Like, what's going on? Like, who are those dudes behind? Why is this chick shooting arrows at him? Like, wow, she just ripped his head off.
Well, that
like,
guy's
what?
A pussy.
What that guy just got owned for that transmog, like, and then she de-eated. It's terrible. Like, you have to know a lot to go into this, and I think one of the ways to do that is to jam in these cinematics or other little animation stories, because that's a great way to fill in that lore to get people up to speed real quick. So we haven't seen that yet, but digging deeper into the lore, they've started talking about the Pantheon of Death. Now, we've seen a pantheon. We know the pantheon, like, for us, these dudes that came and they supposed to keep harmony and create the planet or do whatever they're doing, and then now they're hosting a never-ending Illidan Sargeras brawl for all. Like, I'm not even really sure what's going on out there.
Yeah, they're fighting for eternity. So what?
I guess
you got to be tired at some point.
Who knows? He's demon powered. So, coming out of this sort of these interviews, we're finding out that there seems to be a pantheon for every little corner of the Warcraft cosmos. We're finding out more about this gigantic universe that encompasses our online home, and we're branching away from Azeroth, and we've kind of always wondered about this, where, are we going to go to one of the moons that we see somewhere? Are we going to go to Argus? We did briefly. Are we going to go to explore other places other than Azeroth? And the more that we dig into Shadowlands, it seems like the more we're digging into the fact that we're just one part of a very large whole. And not only are we learning about the Pantheon of Death, and who created the Shadowlands and is supposed to be responsible for running that whole thing, we're finding out things like there are more Night Warriors.
That I'm glad you brought that up. Yes.
Right? So Tyrande, our badass Night Warrior out there running wild. Well, it turns out more entities out there worship Elune than just who we have. And there are more Night Warriors from other places. That blows my mind. Like the Jedi. That's right. It's interesting to see, because it opens up so many more avenues of exploration for us in terms of, you think about the longevity of this game, and we're now so many expansions in, like, where do you go? Like, we're always asking ourselves, well, where do you go? Well, we don't know of anywhere else we can go, so this must be the last expansion, or whatever the thing is. And you see them, these are some soft retcons or hard retcons, depending on how you want to look at it, in terms of, oh, look, there's this other corner over here that we've never seen before. Or, oh, there's this other thing that you've never known about before, but here they are. And there's a whole gaggle of stuff that's coming with them. And the more that we see these elements in Shadowlands, because Shadowlands represents such a fundamental change of our understanding of the nature of life and death in the Warcraft universe, it just blows open so much more, and to see more Pantheons. We got more Night Warriors. We've now had confirmed that the Jailer is the final expansion boss. So no more of this will they, won't they, who is it, whatever. Nope.
Right.
It's the Jailer, more powerful than Titans apparently, big badass, the whole thing, coming in after him. Kalia, they've confirmed, is not the leader of the Forsaken. There was a lot of drama about this. I saw Dez was very upset that Kalia may have been the leader. Don't worry. Kalia is not the leader of the Forsaken. I thought that would have been a decent choice, but whatever. That's fine. But last, and certainly not least, I think they're gonna try to redeem Sylvanas.
I know. I knew you were gonna say it, and I was just like, it still pisses me off to be like the whole time, and then at the end, we called it in one of our episodes where they're just gonna be like, I did this all for a secret reason.
His motivations were noble the whole time.
No, Sylvanas needs her ass canceled. Like, we're in that culture now.
Oh, here you go. I read some of the statements that were being made, and they were talking about how, more information is going to come to light and people's opinions are going to change. And I'm like, here we go. Here we go. Now, to be fair, it could flip the other way, and they could double down, and she's super terrible, evil, mustache twirling villain, and then the people who've been supporting her are like, damn, she is bad. I got to jump off this train. But
no, they wouldn't.
But that is not how this reads right now.
No, I think she's gonna get a redemption, and people will.
I'm gonna be so mad.
Who knows? Maybe this will be the portal that gives everybody their high elf. Because
well, they're getting them now because the eye customization.
I know that, but I'm just saying, Sylvanas started off as that, and then she had her soul ripped out of her, and oh man,
I can't do it, man. I can't. She
possibilities
burned Teldrassil, dude. There's no good reason.
Yeah, but then you'll find out that Teldrassil was really a corrupted old god, and this, that, and the other, and all those barbecued night elves were really bad, and
I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be. I can see it coming, and I can see a way that they could keep it, super murky and gray, and we're like, well, I guess it could, it depends on your point of view. I get that, but man, it's just. Oh.
But at what point do you sit back and go, wow, okay, so the most powerful character in the Warcraft universe is none of these Titans that world build or anything like that. Nope, it's the heroes. It's the heroes that endure all of this.
It's always us.
That's right. It's always us.
It's always us. I'm gonna pick the Sword of Sargeras up out of the ground, and that's gonna be my new spec. I'm gonna be like a triple wield.
It's permanent. It lives in Silithus.
I think so. We've closed up the wound, and now it just lives there.
That's it. Yeah.
You're gonna see it's gonna be like when you watch these movies where there's a post-apocalyptic thing and the people start building houses in the cliff sides and stuff. They're gonna start building domiciles on the side of the Sword of Sargeras, and
it'll be Mega City 1 of the Warcraft universe.
There it is. Down at Silithus.
And then the paladins will become judges. There we go, guys. Trademark that.
There it is. Damn it, you figured it out.
Judgment Dread. Anyway.
Yeah, so there's some more of that. But there's a lot coming for us in terms of lore, in terms of who we're coming across, why. They've repeatedly said they're very targeted about who we run across, so don't get your hopes up for anyone in particular. I mean, if I don't see Varian, I'm not going to quit, but I'm going to be sad because I want to know
Varian.
He's okay.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried.
I don't see why we wouldn't see Varian. I also, because his soul was shattered. I mean, straight up shattered. So there might be a quest that we're going to go down that road.
His body was. I don't know about his soul. I mean, we don't really. But that's the thing. We don't know.
That's true.
We don't know.
That's true.
So yeah. So there were a bevy of interviews. Go and check them out. I don't think that we can possibly do them justice here, but those are some of the highlights that we wanted to pull out just to bring to your folks' attention. And we'll keep diving in we'll have more in the future. My hope is that we'll have a special interview coming here before too long, and then we'll have that. But as episodes come down the line, as we get closer to Shadowlands, we'll just keep diving more into this stuff as we go. So for today's episode, been a long one, and we're going to keep going because we got one more big item that we want to jump into today. It's the Covenants.
Yeah.
So Covenants in Shadowlands are going to be the new hotness, and they're spending an awful lot of time on these. Like, this is not just going to be some side thing. Like,
right.
Like, this isn't going to be archaeology, which is getting bailed on. This is going to be a full-fledged, huge part of the expansion. We've known for quite some time there are going to be 4 Covenants: Kyrian, Necrolord, Night Fae, and Venthyr. We're going to play through all 4 of those zones as we go through our leveling in Shadowlands. And then at the end, we're going to have to make a choice about which one of these Covenants we join. And each one has different things about them to get you to want to join. You know, it's like, why do you go to McDonald's or Burger King? One's got something you like, and one maybe not so good. I don't know.
Man, I haven't. Ugh.
I know.
God.
Been dreaming about a shitty McDonald's burger for 4 months.
I know.
So
They're so shitty at the same time. Never mind. I'm derailing.
I can't help it.
God. Here we go.
So, as part of all of this, Blizzard put out some pretty good posts detailing in each post each one of the 4 Covenants. So you can go in and see for yourself what's up with the Kyrians, what's up with the Necrolords, Night Fae, Venthyr. What do you get when you join up with them? There are mounts, there are pets, there's cosmetic back thingies, there are armor sets. There are several things that each of them share. There's a sanctum where everybody's going to be. They announced with all of this recent news, you're going to have a transport network.
Yes.
Each one's going to have its own kind of thing. I think the Necrolords or the Venthyr, I think it's the Venthyr, use like blood mirrors or something crazy.
Yeah.
So you'll get to figure that out. You will be continuing to collect anima for these folks. There's going to be what they're calling an anima conductor, where you'll fire this thing up, restore the flow of anima in a certain zone, whichever one you align yourself with. And that's how you're going to get a bunch of quests. World quests are going to come out of this thing. It's really in depth. It's a lot of information. I think we're going to do our best here, just kind of run through all of this stuff real quick, what they are, why they're important, yada yada. But you got to see it for yourself because it's a lot. And Nav, I know you made this point before we came on. For people jumping in, is this going to be too much at one time?
I'm gonna be flat out with our audience as I was with you. I am genuinely, when I look at all of this information, as somebody who's played WoW for as long as I have, I look at all of this information and it makes me anxious because I don't know. There's a lot coming, and all I really care about is, what's going to be best for, for example, if I'm doing Fury, what's going to be best for that? What's going to be best if I decide I want to tank? Am I going to be punished if I choose one thing over another? And it's like there's just so much stuff that's being thrown at us, but it's also a double-edged sword where it's like, if Blizzard didn't do this, people are like, well, why didn't you do this? And now they give it to us, and it's like, you're giving us too much.
Damned
It's
if you
always
do,
that
damned
way.
if you don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But right now, the way I'm feeling is there's a lot to try to keep up with,
Yeah.
and
So let's kind of go through it. We'll break it down into its most basic building blocks just for today, just so everybody kind of gets their feet wet. And then as we go forward, come back in future episodes and we'll maybe dial down into some more of these in depth. So there are certain elements that every covenant has. So let's start with that, where they're going to have a sanctum, a place, a gathering place. It's like our order halls, that kind of thing. they're going to have these transport networks that'll help you get around the zone for whichever covenant you've aligned yourself with in the zone that is sort of theirs. There will be an anima conductor where every week you are going to try to collect anima. And there's a cap on this, so you don't have to feel like it's a forever thing. And by powering up these anima conductors, you're going to be opening up new quests and activities that happen in that particular zone. You're also going to have soul binds. Now, we've talked about this on the show before, and I think I had a fundamental misunderstanding of these at first. But now that we see them, got a better idea. For each covenant, there will be 3 options of these souls, these individuals that you come across in the covenant that you will be able to bind yourself to. And by that, it's going to open up this whole other sort of tree of options, and they look like traits. And you're going to use something called conduits, if I understand this correctly, to open up these traits with the soul bind, whoever you choose, and then that soul bind and that trait will then give you some sort of enhanced power or ability or some buff of some kind, something good. And you're going to work through the progression system of building up that soul bind's abilities through this. It looks like kind of like the old school talent trees from way back when.
Yeah.
You'd pick points and do stuff. But apparently this is going to come through conduits, which are drops through a variety of activities. So right now it's not something that you can craft. It's something that you have to be out in the world to get and to find, and then you'll place them into the corresponding slot. It also kind of looks like the old artifact where you used to follow the artifact trees, the trait trees, and you'd pick something. So it's kind of like that. And they have a breakdown right now where you can see for each covenant who the soul binds are. One of them you mentioned earlier is Pelagos. That's the trans character that we have that was introduced.
Yes.
But you'll be able to go and see right now, if you go on the Blizzard website, they have the post for each one of the 4 covenants. And you'll be able to see who all of your options are and generally what abilities or bonuses they bring. And so you can, start to pregame a little bit now if you want. But even just that, I think, is going to create opportunity for customization and at the same time pigeonholing. Because, Nav, you know better than anybody. There's going to be a site, Icy Veins or somebody is going to have a place that says this is the exact thing you have to do for max DPS, max healing, max survivability, and that's the only thing you can do. If you don't do it, you're not raiding.
And that's exactly where my head goes to, because right off the bat, I think to myself, I'm going to align with the Kyrian because they get that cool little spear.
Yeah.
It's an AoE damage. It gives you back, rage and whatnot. But then you look at the Night Fae, where I don't really see that as like a warrior-y type thing, but what it does is they have something called Ancient Aftershock, which you slam the ground with your weapon and it does shockwave damage. Sounds like Prot. And it does nature damage and stunning 5 enemies, and it transfers nature damage for every 2 seconds for 12 seconds and transfers that to you as rage. So that tells me that's kind of like, wow, that's kind of a neat prod ability to have. But when I look at the Night Fae, I'm like, I don't really relate to that. I think I relate more to the Kyrian more than anything else at this point. But we'll see when the game comes out. But there's a lot to do, and you're right. You're probably going to end up going to the class Discord and being like, well, this is kind of like what we suggest doing. So
what is Khalid doing this week?
It's like that, or I go Archie. I'm like, okay, so what does he tell? What is the best thing to do here? And I just follow the guide, and that's what I go with. Whatever Archie's that puts out there. I'm like, and even he says in channel, he's like, because I've posed a question on there, like, what should we be specking? He's like, whatever you want, test them all out at the moment. That's what and
you should. But, if you get in,
and absolutely,
that's what should be happening. Because I think there is a concerted effort to try to make everything somewhat on par. They're trying to have some amount of parity, but there's always, how it is. There's always going to be something that's better for single targets, something for AoE, whatever.
And Ian said he knows, he's like, straight up, right now, game's broken. We know that. Everybody knows that. Powers, we're not going to work on it right now. We're going to wait for pre-patch, and then start when people start getting into Shadowlands, and then they'll start working on balance. So we'll see some more balancing things come into play. So
right now in BFA, we're in the straight up silly season because
it is silly.
It's insane, and they're going to be shutting off all of our juju powers here. The
corruption.
All the corruption's going to be shut off
here
before too long because technically we've defeated N'Zoth, so that shouldn't happen anymore, and there's going to be a bunch of changes. But for Covenants, if you're in the beta, test all this stuff out because they're really trying to find, I genuinely think that they're trying to find a reasonable balance between all of this stuff. The only way is for people to go out there and to try to break it. I mean, really, that's what you got to do. You got to try to break it and figure out where to fix it. So we've talked about all these things that they have that are in common, all these covenants, but there is an element that is going to be really unique to each covenant. And again, it's that piece of flavor that I'm always looking for, happy to see. And that's for each covenant, there's going to be something about them that is unique to them and them only. And by that, what I mean is this. Let's go with the Venthyr, because I think their example is the best. If you go with the Venthyr Covenant, you are going to be given access to something called the Ember Court. And the best way that I can describe this is that you have to throw a party. And if you throw a really kick-ass party, your guests are going to give you loot on the way out the door. What is that? How cool is that? It's so random. But that's what they're doing. What's the Night Fae doing? They're letting you grow this crazy huge garden. What do you get out of that? I'm not really sure. Necrolords, you get to build your own abominations. You're going to have an abomination factory where you can put together all kinds of random pieces to make your own little guys.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they do. I'm sure they do something, but that's totally random. For Kyrians, you're going to get something called Path of Ascension, where you will inhabit, if I understand this correctly, one of your soul binds, and you will kind of go through this captured memory and face trials as your soul bind.
I'm probably just gonna do that.
That sounds pretty cool.
That sounds pretty cool. That sounds straight up
So again,
old stuff.
It's part of the choices that you're going to have to make. You're only going to get access, theoretically, to one of these at a time. I assume that by exposure through leveling, you're going to get some idea of which one you gravitate towards. But really, for all of you, go and look and read this stuff for your own, because there's a lot of information here about the particulars, and I really enjoy the fact that they're not just making them cookie cutter, and that they're actually going out of their way to create something special about each one, so you feel that. The other side of that is that we're going to, as far as I know, have a continued complaint about the ease or difficulty of switching covenants. We've seen it since they were announced. What's this going to look like? Is this going to be Aldor Scryer? Is this going to be like just, paying a couple bucks and then off you go? I will say that for myself, I think that the choice should be meaningful, that it should be difficult to change, and that if you want to experience the other ones, then do what I typically don't, which is level your alts. Try them out that way.
Yeah, that's why I have so many warriors, so I'll probably end up doing it that way. Yep.
So, of all of the covenants that you've seen, I know we've talked about this before, is Kyrian still your choice?
Yeah, I think so, because if I was a paladin or a warrior, I think I'd go the way of the Kyrian. So it's just, I don't know, it just seems like it fits. But it's also the one that I've had the most experience with so far, because that spear in the ground is really cool. I like it. I like that it pulls everything to it, and it is a fun ability.
But that's why you got to figure it out.
And also the travel with that is pretty cool. The little soul conduit travel that they have. The it's like the
Kyrian gateways.
Yeah, you turn into this like ball of light, and you
become
travel.
pure anima, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, yeah,
it's going to be a tough choice because as confident as I was in Kyrian, I've been looking at the Night Fae, and I'm like, there's some pretty cool stuff in there. So I don't know. It's going to be tough.
I mean, we got a taste of this with Battle for Azeroth when we were going to all the different storylines. You know, you had the the different intro quests. It's kind of like, so you'll get to experience everything, and then you can make a choice at the end.
Yeah,
so.
I mean they'll introduce us to all of this stuff while we're leveling.
Yeah,
and that I think is really going to make or break the choice for most folks. Is what did I have the most fun doing, and then that's the thing I'm going to keep doing.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, but there's a lot, folks. There's a lot of information that's come out, and it's going to keep coming, as far as I can tell. There'll be, I'm sure, more live streams and more interviews coming, and we'll do our best to keep up with this stuff now that we're back. But really, go out, read the stuff for yourself, see what pokes out at you, and give us a holler if there's something that you want us to touch on the show. Always reach out to us and let us know, and we'll talk about it. Listen, there's only 5 of you. So you have our full attention. So other than that, is there anything else you want to talk about with these covenants, good sir?
No. We touched on. We'll touch on it more in depth later on.
All right. Well, I think that will do it for this supersized episode. Other than this fine program, where can the good people find you on the internet, Nevox?
You can find me over on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at NAV_OX.
As for me, you can always find me on Twitter at Berserker Rage and this show at Unshackled_Fury. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And you can find this show on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Google Play. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.